It's very natural to feel outraged when you see people doing things that are very hurtful to others. It's just the way the human heart, you protest, you want it to stop, you want to save people from suffering. It's a very powerful impulse within us. The confusion comes when we're really trying to make things better and we're really trying to be an instrument of light into this world, and anger comes into it. The vibrations that we put out into the world are far more powerful than you think. We think that this is a material world, but it's an energy universe. I mean, this was Einstein's great revelation, and we don't take it into ourselves clearly enough, and really we don't completely understand the implications of it. Naturally not, because it's subtle, and we have to see it sort of differently. But the thoughts that you put out and the vibrations of those thoughts create a force field, and that force field, feeds the shadow or it feeds the light. So when we allow the behavior of others to cause us to enter into a vibration that is um, dissonant, is not harmonious, even though our intention is good, that is not the most effective way to accomplish the good that you're trying to accomplish. Understandable, but not the most effective. Now, this is very tricky because we want to be motivated to make this world a better place. And so we often think, if I could just get rid of the things that don't seem to be good, which is often this person's action, these laws, these behaviors, and so on, if I could just get rid of those things, then everything would be just fine. But what we have to understand is that people who behave in ways that expand the shadow in this world, and I use the word shadow because shadow simply blocks the light. Once the block to the light is removed, the light is as strong as ever. Even though if a shadow is there, it prevents the light from getting through for a time. So we imagine if we could just knock all these shadow forces away, then everything would be great. Except the very thought that I am in charge and what I think should happen is the right thing to happen, and if you get in my way, I'm going to get rid of you. We're just moving the blocks around of the false idea that the human ego is the highest form and always knows what's better. Yes, all of this is very challenging, and it's impossible to just pull one little piece out of this. Of course I should be angry. Of course that behavior is unthinkable. And yes, I agree with you. But what we have to do, as I was saying a moment ago, what we have to do is we have to bring more light into the world, and just getting rid of everything that doesn't please us. This is the idea that if I can make the external world be the way I want it to be, then I and everyone is going to be just fine. But this doesn't take into account necessary karmic lessons that we have to learn. It doesn't take into account that our real experience at all times is our consciousness. Conditions are always neutral. And that doesn't mean that you can't perceive that this person is behaving wisely and this person is behaving in an idiotic manner. It doesn't mean that you can't perceive that this one is an instrument of light and this one is an instrument of shadow. You have discrimination, but we understand that the issue is the change in human consciousness. You can't just keep pushing the pieces aside. Even right now, we have all the technology, all the wealth, all the understanding to make this place a heaven on earth. But earth is not like heaven because people don't want to behave that way. So what we have to do is we have to create magnetism. We have to create flows of energy that will inspire people to change their behavior. And that may mean that we have to restrain shadow forces. Paramahansa Yogananda talks about, even as the age increases and light is more dominant, he said we'll still have to have an international police force because there will be misguided individuals who will become bullies, as to use his word, who will imagine if I can dominate, I will be happy. But that's not true. We cannot get our happiness at the expense of others. Now, this doesn't mean that we don't protest, that we don't work for change, that we don't dedicate ourselves to making things better if we can make it better, but we have to do it with the kind of consciousness that we're trying to create. When Jesus drove the money changers out of the temple, he did not walk in and say, "Pardon me, but I think it would be better if you weren't desecrating my Father's house." He picked up a whip, he overturned the tables, he drove them out. But he did that, odd as it may seem, he did it because he loved them. He really loved them with his whole heart, and they were behaving in ways that was not going to help them. So he was the international police force, if you will, and he drove them out. But the anger he felt was not directed at suppressing them. The force that he felt was the force of righteousness that was coming in to save them, literally, from the folly of their own misunderstanding. Oh my, it does get subtle, doesn't it? And it is a tremendous challenge. But if we find that rather than increasing our attunement with light, increasing our compassion, our deep desire for a world filled with kindness, we become more and more obsessed with trying to make other people obey our will, you should pause. You should pause not in your objective, but you should pause in your inner reality. You need, if you're going to do that kind of work and you really want it to be effective, you really want to create a changed world, you need to be aligned. You need to be aligned with a higher power that transcends everything about this planet and acting from an inner intuition, not a compulsion. If it's compulsive and you don't have the capacity to choose your state of consciousness, at least consider whether you need to pull back and strengthen your inner reality, to strengthen your connection with the divine, to strengthen your deep faith that Divine Mother loves all her children equally. And if you're going to be an instrument of Divine Mother's redirecting, make sure that you're acting in attunement with her loving consciousness and not compulsively from your own anxieties and fears. Oh, this is a tall order. This is a very tall order. And some people, like myself, and I made this decision a very, very long time ago, when I realized that the whole issue of shadow and light in this world was about the human heart. And from that time, my entire effort has been to uplift the human heart and to be an instrument of that upliftment, and from that direction to bring about the kind of change that any compassionate heart would like to see in this world.